I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm trying to adopt my niece and nephew.
Where are they?
Their origin from Algeria,
Okay.
ALG,
How old are
Algeria.
they? How old are they?
And I would, the daughter, 11 years old, and they have 8 years old, and another boy, 6 years old.
Okay, and my question to you is, where's the mother and father?
The father, he's kind of, this ignorant guy.
He's abandoned the children?
Yeah, he's abandoned the children pretty much, I guess.
And the mother?
And the mother, she is very sick, and because I sponsored my parents, and my parents do live in the U.S., so they were sitting with them, and then they had to go to their mom, but their mom, she's very miserable, and I want to be the person in charge, responsible.
All right, so you have to bring them to America as orphans. We don't want to kill off the mother, obviously. We want her to be well. The father's disappeared. But when you have a situation where the father disappeared and the mother is incapable of taking care of the children, you can have the local authorities, and we can help you with that. And every country, there's a civil authority that's in charge of children. I don't know what it's called in Algeria, but they will come and they'll come and will make an application and say, you know what, the mother's incapable of taking care of these children. She doesn't have money. She's sick. She should basically have her rights as a mother stripped away.
Yeah, okay? and the people who were taking care of them are my parents, but they are here in America now. They are no longer.
Fine, I understand. So they would have to be taken care of by somebody else. Somebody else is taking care of them. And we have to basically strip the mother of her parental rights, strip the father of his parental rights, and he has no rights because basically he abandoned the children anyway. Now they're orphaned. They have no mother, they have no father. And then while you're doing that in Algeria, on our end here in the United States of America, we're doing what's called a pre-adoption. A pre-adoption is when you go to the court, wherever you live locally. You're in California, so you would do it in California, and you do what's called a pre-adoption application, where you say to a judge, I got these 2 kids in Algeria. This is my situation here. I have this nice home. This is what I earn. Here's my fingerprints. I'm not a sexual predator. I'm not a child molester. I have a nice, clean home. They send a social worker to your home to check you out. And the judge says, okay, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here. I think you'll be a good parent. When these children come to America, I would be more than happy to sign an adoption order saying that making you the parent of these children. So now you have what's called the pre-adoption. You strip the parents of their parental rights in Algeria. Now you can go to the Immigration Service and file an orphan petition. Say, I've been pre-approved for an adoption by my local judge. These kids have no parents in Algeria. Let's bring them over with a green card. And then you start the immigration process. You bring them over. They have a green card, but you're not done yet because you got to go back to your local judge and actually do the adoption at that point. And once the adoption is done, then they become automatic U.S. citizens.
Is it true that if a U.S. citizen wants to adopt their relative, the person who wants to adopt and the child must live together for at least 3 years?
2 years.
My daughter's grandmother adopted her to take to the U.S. when she was 14 years old, but she never got to the U.S. through the adoption. I got a visa for her before the adoption came through. Now she can't file for me because I signed the adoption paper. What can I do?
You have to figure out another way to get a green card. Once your daughter is adopted by somebody else, that breaks the legal bond between you and the daughter.
Wow.
I was adopted and brought here. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I'm in contact with my biological mom. So is there any way I can invite her?
Once you are adopted, that breaks the bond between you, the legal bond between you and the natural mother. And you are not her child anymore under the law, and there's nothing you can do to help her. She's going to have to figure out her own way to come to America.
If I am living in Jamaica and my son's sister who lives in the United States wants to adopt my son, who is a 14-year-old Jamaican citizen, how exactly would it work?
Well, you have to have, the son has to be an orphan. So if you're not adopting an orphan, you got to prove you lived in the same household with that child before 16. It's going to be difficult unless you're actually living in Jamaica with him. So first, orphan. And if he's going to adopt your son, you're not going to go commit suicide to orphan your kid. So basically, your parental rights have to be stripped. You can't consent to it. It has to be stripped because you're not able to take care of the child because of, your economic condition, or you have abandoned the child. But somehow your parental rights have to be stripped from you by a government agency. And that child has to be an orphan. and then you can start an orphan petition. But it's a whole process. And this woman is asking about an adoption of her child. So who knows? They need a consultation.
If you're legally guardian and you be a legal guardian for a stepson, would that stepson be a citizen as well?
No.
So what do you have to do?
You as a stepmother cannot. You would have to adopt.
No, stepfather.
Stepfather would have to adopt that child before 16.
So he's a legally guardian. He went to court.
No, he would have to be an adopted parent before 16. Not a legal
he has to be.
Right. Other than that, the child would be naturalized when he's 18.
Yes, but he already got his green card by the legal guardian.
Through the SIDG?
Yes, because his stepfather is a military person, so he's got it when he was like 14, 15.
The stepfather, one second. You're saying stepfather, that means that he's married to you?
Yes.
Okay. And he's a U.S. citizen, so he filed a petition for this child?
Yes.
Okay. And he just said, okay, I'll get legal guardianship of him anyway. That doesn't entitle him to citizenship.
Okay.
Only if in adoption before 16 would. Otherwise, this child has to become a naturalized citizen when he is 18.
I'm a permanent resident of the United States. I have a brother in Jamaica who is 14 years old. His father's name isn't registered on his birth certificate. So I was wondering if I could add my name to his birth certificate or adopt him and file an I-130 for him.
No, you can't add your name because you're not the father. You can adopt him, but if you adopt him, you got to prove you lived in the same household with him. Did you ever live with him?
No, I don't live with him.
Okay, so then adopting him would never get him here. Perhaps an orphan petition if he doesn't live with the mother, doesn't live with the father, he's abandoned in Jamaica, and you strip the parents of the parental rights, but you would need to be a citizen to do that.
My husband's niece came from Nigeria to here, and I adopted her last year. But when I get her adoption paper, she became 16, and the same day she get an adoption paper, she was 16. I put in for I-130, and they denied.
Yes. Problemos. Where did you do the adoption?
Here.
Did the judge know that he had to sign or she had to sign the adoption before the 16th birthday? Did anybody tell the judge that?
Yes, she did sign it. I don't remember if she signed it. I don't remember if she signed it.
What would happen? I need to see the adoption paperwork. And we'll have to figure out if we can go back to a judge and ask them to redate the adoption for one day earlier. You can make a motion to do that based on extenuating circumstances. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.